The human sat across from me in the evaluation chamber, and I already knew this would be entertaining. My name is Vorth, Senior Psychological Instructor at the Galactic Defense Academy, and I had broken 17 species in my 30 cycles of service. 17. From the crystallized Kentari who thought they were philosophically superior, to the battle-hungry Kryn who believed violence solved everything. I had stripped away their delusions, exposed their weaknesses, rebuilt them into proper soldiers. This human, though? She looked bored. Cadet Reeves. I began, letting my voice drip with the kind of condescension I had perfected over decades. Do you know why you are here? Because you think I need fixing, she replied, examining her fingernails like they were suddenly the most fascinating thing in the universe. I felt my secondary heart skip. The audacity. You scored poorly on the empathy simulation, I continued, pulling up her file on the holographic display. When presented with the scenario of saving your squad versus completing the mission, you chose the mission. Every single time. Correct, she said, meeting my eyes now. Those disturbingly calm human eyes. Do you not care about your fellow soldiers? I leaned forward, activating my pheromone projectors. Most species found the scent unsettling, destabilizing. Does their suffering mean nothing to you? Reeves smiled. Actually smiled. Instructor Vorth, let me ask you something. What happens if I save my squad but fail the mission? They live, I said, as if explaining to a hatchling. Their families see them again. They continue to exist. And the colony we were supposed to protect. She tilted her head. The 40,000 civilians who die when the enemy bombardment begins because we didn't disable their weapons platform? Do their families matter less? I felt my confidence waver, just slightly. You are deflecting, I snapped. This exercise is about your psychological state, not tactical mathematics. Is it? She leaned back in her chair. Because it seems like you are trying to make me feel guilty for making the correct choice. The hard choice. The one that saves the most lives. The choice that makes you a monster, I hissed. She laughed. She actually laughed. Instructor, I have read your file too. You are Vornathi, yes? Your species avoided the harvest wars by hiding in your subterranean cities while the harvest fleet consumed 3 neighboring civilizations. 20 billion souls. Gone. Because you were too afraid to fight. My blood went cold. That is not relevant. I stammered. Oh, but it is. Reeves stood up now, pacing. You sit here, in your safe evaluation chamber, judging warriors for making warrior decisions. You call me a monster because I understand that command means choosing who lives and who dies. That leadership means carrying that weight. But you carry nothing. You hide in your theories and your simulations and your psychological profiles, never having to make a real choice. I have served the galactic defense for 30 cycles. I roared. As an instructor, she said quietly. Never in combat. Never with lives actually hanging in the balance. Never having to watch someone die because of your choice, or worse, because you were too scared to choose at all. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. My grandfather fought in the Euro conflicts, Reeves continued, her voice softer now. He made choices that haunted him until the day he died. But you know what? He made them. He did not freeze. He did not hide. He carried that weight because someone had to. That is what humans do, instructor. We carry the weight so others do not have to. I tried to speak, but my vocal cords would not cooperate. So yes, she said, moving toward the door. I will choose the mission over my squad if it means saving more lives. I will carry that guilt, that pain, that weight. Because that is what leaders do. That is what warriors do. And apparently, that is something you will never understand. She paused at the doorway, looking back. Is this evaluation over, instructor? Or do you have more mind games you would like to try? I sat there, my carefully constructed world of psychological superiority crumbling around me like sand. Dismissed, I whispered. She left, and I was alone with truths that hurt far more than any weapon ever could. 3 days passed before I could bring myself to review the recording of our session. 3 days of avoiding my colleagues, of staring at my wall of commendations, of questioning everything I thought I knew about strength and weakness. The other instructors noticed, of course. Instructor Kelm asked if I was ill. I told him I was fine, which was the biggest lie I had told in cycles, that I was not fine. The academy director, Commander Thress, summoned me on the 4th day. Her office overlooked the training grounds where cadets from 40 different species ran through combat drills. I watched them, wondering how many I had actually helped versus how many I had just judged. Vorth, Thress said, her mandibles clicking with concern. Your performance reviews have always been exceptional. But Cadet Reeves filed a complaint. My stomach dropped. She what? Actually, no. Thress allowed herself a small chittering laugh. She filed a commendation. For you. I stared, certain my translator had malfunctioned. She wrote that you challenged her worldview more than any instructor she has encountered. Thress continued, reading from her datapad. That your questions, while uncomfortable, forced her to examine why she makes the choices she does. She said, and I quote, Instructor Vorth reminded me that carrying the weight is not enough. I must understand why I carry it, or I become just another tyrant making hard choices without wisdom. I sat down without being invited. She recommended you for the advanced ethics teaching position, Thress added. The one you applied for 6 cycles ago and were denied. Why was I denied? I asked, my voice barely audible. Because we felt you lacked practical field experience, Thress said gently. That you understood theory, but not application. But Reeves argues that someone who has never faced combat can ask the questions soldiers forget to ask themselves. She believes you made her a better leader by forcing her to defend her choices, not just make them. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not breaking. Opening. I called her a monster. I confessed. Yes, I heard the recording, Thress said. And she called you a coward. Seems you both spoke uncomfortable truths to each other. The question is, what will you do with those truths? I spent the next week doing something I had never done before. I interviewed combat veterans. Real ones, not simulations. Not psychological profiles. Actual soldiers who had been in the mud, the blood, the impossible situations. Every single one carried scars. Not just physical ones that a Trellan engineer who had destroyed a bridge, cutting off his own escape route, but saving a refugee convoy. A Morthian pilot who had fired on a hijacked transport, killing hostages to prevent a biological weapon from reaching a population center. A human medic named Torres who had made the choice to treat enemy wounded before her own soldiers because they were more critically injured. They all carried the weight. They all questioned themselves. They all understood something I had missed completely. Strength was not the absence of doubt. It was acting despite it. When I finally requested another meeting with Cadet Reeves, I expected her to refuse. She did not that we sat in the same chamber, but this time I did not activate my pheromone projectors. I did not lean forward with practiced intimidation. I just sat, across from another being trying to navigate an impossible universe. I owe you an apology, I began. No, you do not, Reeves interrupted. You did your job. You pushed me to examine my choices. That is valuable. I called you a monster because it made me feel superior, I said. Because if you were wrong, then I was right. If your choices were monstrous, then my lack of choices was virtuous. But that was cowardice dressed up as wisdom. Reeves studied me for a long moment. And now I think we are both right and both wrong. I admitted. You must make those terrible choices. But you also must have people like me questioning them, challenging them, making sure they are truly necessary and not just convenient. Not as judgment, but as partnership. Balance, she said. Yes. She extended her hand across the table. A human gesture I had studied but never truly understood until that moment. I reached out, clasping her hand with my own 3-fingered grip. I still think you are too comfortable with sacrifice, I said honestly. And I still think you are too afraid of it. She replied with that unsettling human smile. Then we will both keep learning, I said. Agreed. 6 months later, Cadet Reeves graduated top of her class. I attended the ceremony, watching as she received her command assignment. She caught my eye in the crowd and nodded once. Just once. I nodded back. The next day, I began developing a new curriculum, one that paired psychological instructors with combat veterans, theory with practice, questions with experience. It was not perfect, but then again, nothing ever was. Commander Thress approved it immediately. She also approved my promotion. As I stood in my new office, larger and more prestigious, I looked at that wall of commendations. 30 cycles of service. 17 species broken and rebuilt, but it took one human to break and rebuild me. Funny how the universe works like that. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.